It's one thing to have knowledge on a product or service, but it is a completely different thing to be able to effectively communicate that knowledge. Have you ever been in business or sales and you know your product, your service inside out? You feel that you are the expert, you've researched it to death, you're experienced, you know what to do. You're up against your most fierce competitor with a huge potential client. This is going to generate, you call it $1 million. Now, you do everything proper. You know exactly what to show him. You go through the numbers. Here you go. Everything that you think that consumer is going to want to see. But then they don't buy from you. They work with the competitor. And let's say that the competitor put them in a product or provided a service that you know is an absolute ripoff to them. But you look at the situation and think, I did everything right. Like, what is going on here? Why did they not work with me? So what I want to cover in this video is really that situation and why people do not work with business owners or companies or sales professionals that may absolutely have the best possible option, but they go work with a competitor that doesn't have the best option. And it has to do with effective communication. So let's assume a situation similar to what I just mentioned. Assume you're in my industry. You're offering whole life insurance and it's designed for maximum cash value. So someone's going to buy a policy and they are interested in the cash value. You use the top companies. You use a policy design that is optimized for cash value, short-term, long-term, highest guarantees, cream of the crop in terms of insurance company. You do everything right. You know your numbers will not be beat in any respect, guaranteed and non-guaranteed values. We're going to call it a 1090 split. If you've watched any of our videos, you know what that means. You could argue again that you have the best product, but why on earth would a prospect buy from someone else and they have perhaps a 40-60 split, that the numbers are not as attractive? The consumer is giving up a significant amount of value up front. They're also giving up value long-term. They're really giving up value in the guarantees, and the agent is making a much higher commission. So why on earth, when you have a better product, would someone buy from this other agent, this prospect buy from another agent, someone else that's not offering a superior product? Well, the reason why is that that someone else captivated your prospect, your potential client, without focusing on the numbers. So our company, IBC Global, and my background specifically has always been on the numbers. I know cash value life insurance. Our company knows it inside out. We know how to maximize the consumer value. That was my background before getting into business and for myself. When I say my background, I modeled policies for corporations. We work with banks that are specifically interested in cash value. But if I have all that knowledge, why on earth would someone elect to buy a policy that's not as attractive, much less value to the consumer, from a competitor when I know I've got the best option? And if the consumer would just see it, they would know to move forward. You ever feel like that with anything? We all have. Well, the thing is, the competitor did not focus on the numbers. I was focused on the numbers. And the numbers did not captivate that prospect. What happens then? Well, if you're in the situation that I was in, you get frustrated. You start to grow negative, you complain, and nothing good comes from that. You lose productivity. It's like, no, don't do that. But it's natural to go there, especially when you lose that big deal and you feel like you're trying to do the best thing for the client and they get ripped off. You're like, no. But anyway, that's what can happen. Here's the solution, because this happens in every business, from personal experience and just seeing what goes on out there. The solution is to remain focused and improve your own skill set. With effective communication, improve your own skill. Go back, analyze the situation. If you recorded it, perfect. Analyze what you did wrong. Judge the tonality, body language. What did that person look at, or how did they react? Did they keep asking the same question in a different way, but you weren't answering it? Could be a number of things. What was wrong with your communication? And if you have recordings, look at what you've done well on the other side to say, okay, here's when I am on my game, what things tend to work. But you've got to study yourself, stay focused, improve your skill. Now, here's what I want to touch on. Develop a different approach. So I mentioned earlier, I was always laser focused on the numbers. Practice and record yourself. Now you can record yourself in practice sessions, also when you're working with people, if they agree to it, obviously. But study those recordings, not so much the prospect and how they're responding, because every prospect's going to be different, but yourself. What's effective, what's not effective. Illustrations. I don't mean life insurance illustrations in this video. What I mean is use of illustrations. Illustrations are a great way to captivate an audience's attention or a prospect's attention. Client connection, really judging body language, tonality. This comes from experience. I had to learn the hard way from doing so many meetings and just bombing, tripping, and falling. Like that's how I learned over time, but then learned, hey, I got to stop practicing on clients. Let's practice and really refine your own presentation skills before you just go in there and bomb it. And by the way, all of this, I've learned a lot through experience. There's people I learned from as well. In fact, there's a YouTube channel, two of them actually, I would highly recommend. Alex and Layla Hormozi. So Alex Hormozi and Layla Hormozi, they understand the stuff in business, in my opinion, better than most people I know. And I've paid a ton to business coaches and mentors, and I think those two are way better. Huge shout out to them. They know their stuff. Watch one video and you'll know what I'm talking about. But to get back on topic here, storytelling versus technical explaining. So I'll give you an example here. I'll give you two examples. Again, I mentioned I'm always laser focused on the numbers, correct? So here's what I want to touch on. Explaining policy design and then explaining company selection. Let's start with policy design. If you've watched any of our videos, you've heard me say this 10 million times. I'm going to explain policy design to you as if you're a prospect, and then I'm going to do it in a different way by illustrating storytelling. All right, here we go. Number one, Mr. Prospect, with a whole life insurance policy, in order to maximize the cash value, we want to get as much money as possible toward the cash value. And here's how we do this. Did you know that when you pay $1, for example, into a life insurance policy, you can actually choose where that dollar goes? You can decide if that dollar goes toward the base premium, which initially gives you nothing in cash value because it buys you a death benefit. But as the years pass, you eventually see those premium dollars come back to cash value. Not attractive at all in terms of upfront cash value, and takes some time to build up. But then you can also allocate money toward what's called a PUA rider. I'll refer to this as a cash dump-in. We can get money straight into cash value, begins to compound, I can access it. This is the key to maximizing the cash value in a life insurance policy immediately, and it mimics very closely what big banks, corporations, and the ultra wealthy do with cash value life insurance. Okay, so if you were to rate that from 1 to 10, 10 being the best, 1 being the worst, where would you put it? Not so much from the technical details and going through everything, but from keeping your attention, and could you recite it back? Now, before you rate it, let's listen to the next example. So I'm going to go for the same thing here, but my intent, take a different approach, captivate the audience's attention, because not everyone's technical. Here we go. Storytelling. Mr. Prospect, you know, when I was 26 years old, it was my second year in the industry, I was struggling. I made $8,000 total for the year. I almost failed out of the business. I remember a time at the office I worked at, and that office sold whole life insurance, and really they explained it in the exact same way I do. It's a great area to position money, that's safe, liquid, tax-free, the wealthy use it, a lot of attractive features. But I'm struggling in the industry. I remember one day I'm sitting outside in the common area at my cubicle. This doctor walks into the office and meets with 2 people in the office. He goes in that conference room. He had read a book on whole life insurance. He whips the book on the table and says, I want to pay $100,000 per year into a policy. Without saying anything. Like the agents didn't say anything at all. Here's a $100,000 sale. I'm like, what? That one case would completely just make it for me. I would make more in that one case than I did for the entire year. So they sell him a whole life insurance policy. He was interested in the cash value. The death benefit was not his concern. But you know what? The product that he was sold was not attractive at all. He wanted a cash-rich policy. He paid $100,000 into that policy, and he had next to nothing right off the bat. Took almost 10 years to break even or get his money back. So one thing was advertised in terms of whole life insurance, but that's not what he was sold. So really what I do and what my company does is sell whole life insurance, but what we make it a focus to do is show people and set people up with policies that are maximized for cash value immediately, have the greatest value long-term, strongest guaranteed values, and really copy what big banks, corporations, and the elite, the 1%, do with whole life insurance. So, same approach there as far as I'm talking about policy design. And really the intention in this situation is to really get the potential client to agree to meet with me, receive more information. Which one's going to get their attention? Which one did you like better? Now, technical Steve would say, hey, I like the technical design because I want to get right to the point. And some people will. But I would bet that the majority of people are going to be more attracted to that. And it could be with everything other than the policy design. Specifically, what I mean when I say that is it could be the fact that I mentioned I was 26 years old, struggling in the business. They might relate to that. Could be that they're a doctor. They know a doctor that got ripped off with whole life insurance. Stories will resonate more with the potential consumer. Now, before I go into the second story, I'm going to add something here that when it comes to storytelling, it's something I struggle with. Not because I don't enjoy a good story, I definitely do. The reason I struggle with it is I've seen so many sales professionals sell based on stories, but then they sell a product that just is heavily weighted toward commission and it's not in the client's best interest. So I had like that personal issue where I'm like, I don't want to do that because I feel like it's a disservice for the client. And the thing is, it's not. You can maintain the integrity of your product, your service, everything. What you'll have to become comfortable with effective communication, because you have the knowledge, but how do you communicate it properly, is really developing that different approach. Knowing, all right, I'm going to have to put stories in there or take a different approach in order to really win this individual's business. Because if I don't do that, they may work with someone else and then find out after the fact, should have went a different direction. So there's policy design. Let's look at one more, explaining company selection, and then we'll wrap this video up. So, company selection. This one's going to be shorter. So, number one, technical Steve. Mr. Prospect, when it comes to a whole life insurance policy, there's a lot of insurance companies out there. You don't need me to tell you that, obviously. When it comes to the cream of the crop, top companies in the industry that have among the strongest guaranteed values, have always delivered the strongest actual cash values, massive in terms of size, AAA ratings, all that good stuff, there's really four companies, your four major mutual companies, which are Mass Mutual, Guardian, New York Life, and Northwestern Mutual. What I've seen to be consistent is one, they've delivered, but again, the big players, banks, corporations, wealthy individuals, they use those companies for a reason. So, technical Steve, there we go. Put a lot of data in there. Let's move on to storytelling Steve, which is not Steve naturally. If you know me, you know that already. So, storytelling, here we go. Mr. Prospect. When it comes to company selection, I definitely prefer the four major mutual companies, but I'll actually share something with you. Recently, I worked with an individual. He heads a sales division at the second largest insurance company in the world. He's very successful. He pays in just south of $500,000 per year into a high cash value life insurance policy. Now, before I had the privilege to connect with this individual, he had actually been working with other groups, and he mentioned that he was pitched on a smaller life insurance company, a smaller mutual company. And his comment was, hey, other group, there is no way I'm going to flow $2 million or $2 to $3 million through that small company. I'm not doing it. This individual was in the business for a long time. He knows the product in and out. He knows what to look for, and he's not fooled by an illustration that provides great numbers or displays great numbers. As he started working with us and we went through the process, he opened a policy. What he mentioned, he said, Steve, I want one of the best. I want one of the top companies. No, let me stop there. I want the best mutual life insurance company for my money. This is my money going in here. I've got it short-term, long-term. I'm leaving a legacy. This is for my family. I want the best mutual company. Now, the answer to the question, who's the best? Every company will say they're the best, of course, just in their marketing. But your 4 major mutual companies have consistently gone back and forth in terms of having great ratings, massive in terms of size, but always providing the strongest consumer value, specifically great long-term cash values and death benefits. Those 4 companies being MassMutual, Guardian, New York Life, and Northwestern Mutual. So, which one captivated your attention more? What do you remember if you just think over the past 1 to 2 minutes? I remember the story I heard. The guy said, there's no way I'm flowing my money through a small company. I want one of the best. Because he was putting a significant amount of money in. And regardless of the dollar figure, it's all relative depending on our situation. It's all important. Point here, developing a different approach will help you tremendously when attempting to effectively communicate your message. Because again, you know the product, you know your service, whether you're in my business or if you're in any business, like you know it, but then how do you effectively communicate it? And being open to trying new things, which is going to be difficult for you when you go outside of your comfort zone. It's going to take you more time to really refine that. That's the challenge there, where most people don't want to do that. So work on that, do that, you'll get to that next level. So hope you enjoyed this one. I had a ton of fun. I know I've been going for some time now, but I do hope this helps. If you did enjoy, please hit the like button, subscribe for more, and we'll talk to you in the next video. Thanks so much. Hey guys, Steve Parisi here. If you enjoyed the content you just saw, please subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell for future videos. If you'd like more information or to see some custom policies for yourself, feel free to call or email our offices at the contact information below.